So today we continue from where we stopped. I think this should be part 11, and today now we are going to be actually fetching some data from PostgreSQL. In the previous tutorial, which is part 10, we actually built a REST API. If you can remember, we visited /home and we have this response here. And we also, we also did, so we also created the service. Now, I want to just show you something. If I go to the home service, we have this. If I go to the home controller, you can actually tell the controller to return specifically JSON formatted file. So in that case, you have to do return sre dot status, specify the status to be 200, and you now specify the JSON and specify your JSON. I think, let me not just mess it up. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so so this is basically how to send a specific formatted file. So I can actually just say the message I want to send should be service dot go home. I think this should be it. Okay, so in this case, it's going to send JSON, exactly JSON, and also send a status code of 200. So I think if I restart this server now, so save all, and the server is going to automatically restart if there is no error. If I refresh this page now, you can see that it's changed to JSON. So this is a JSON file sent. I think if I look at the inspector, there's a way I can actually see the status code, which is sent. I think it's from network, and let's see. I don't think I can figure it out at this point. Okay, but okay, so this is basically how to send a JSON file, but we're going to talk about this a little later. Okay, so now I want to get a list of countries instead of sending a static message across. And to do that, we will use something called PGPromise. PGPromise is a module that helps us interface with PostgreSQL and fetch data asynchronously. Again, I have not mentioned, if you are joining me for the first time, please make sure you are subscribed, make sure you activate notifications. That way you don't miss any updates from me. And also, if you have any challenges, I'll be here to help you. Connect with me on my social network profile, maybe Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn or Git. You can also find this code in my website and also in my GitHub repository. The links are in the description of this video, so please subscribe. Okay, so PGPromise helps us to make requests and response to PostgreSQL database and get our data. So what we want to do now is we want to get list of countries, and that is also very easy. We are going to first create a file named connection.ts. So inside the src, I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to call it connection.ts. So this file is going to contain connection parameters to PostgreSQL. So I'm going to just copy and paste. So I'm going to copy from here and just paste it. So import PGPromise. Now we have to install PGPromise using npm. So I'm going to come here and stop the server from running. So I'm going to say npm install PGPromise. PGPromise. And after successful installation, this error should go away. So file, save all, this error should go away. And the connection string, this is the way it is. So you can actually change it. This is the password, is the name of the database. Okay. So I have Postgres. This is Postgres. Password at localhost. I think this should be correct. So this should be the user Postgres. So for now, if you install PostgreSQL, the default user is Postgres. Okay. Okay, so we now need to create a file called country service, basically the same way we did in Spring Boot. We have to create the service, create the controller, and then write the function in the service to return the data. And from the controller, we call the service method. So that's basically it. So in the controller, I'm going to, in the service, I'm going to create a new a new file. I'm going to call it country service.ts, and in the controller I'm going to create a file called country controller.ts, and that's what we have. And in the service you simply want to write a function to return, to actually send the SQL query to the PostgreSQL and return some response. So we are going to write that in the country service. So I'm going to simply, this time I'm going to type it out myself, db from the connection.ts. Now db is in connection.ts. So if you take a look at the connection.ts, you can see that we have db created here. That's a connection. So I'm going to kind of close all this. And we now want to write the function, so it's going to be exported so that we can use it in another file. So export cons, so I want to write it as an arrow function. Export cons get countries. Get countries is an async function, async, no parameters taken, so it's going to be like this. Okay. I'm going to say await db.query and specify the query to be select star from country. Okay, so this select star from country, and then in the controller we are going to also write a function to actually fetch this country. So I'm going to also, first I'm going to import the request response from Express. Request and response is coming from Express, so this IntelliSense helps complete it. We also want to import the service because we are going to be calling the method in the service. So I'm going to import stars country service from the slash it should be service, it's going to be slash country service.ts, and finally we want to write the function. It's also going to be an arrow function. It's going to be const. We are not exporting to anywhere, so I'm going to call it get countries. It's an async function. It's going to take a request and response parameter. So it's going to be a request. It's going to be a request, and also it takes a second parameter. It's going to be response, and it's going to be an arrow function like us. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Okay. So let's see. Why do we have these arrows? Okay, these are PH1, so it's going to be request. So at this time, we are going to now say country service dot get countries dot then, I think the then, because this async function, so the then I'm going to specify now a function to execute when this data comes back, and this function is simply going to take the data that comes back and send it out as a response through to the HTTP using the response variable, which is the second parameter here. So I'm going to say, so the countries is going to be parameters, and it's going to be then response dot. I normally like using the status 200.json and specify the JSON is going to be countries. Okay, so this should be it. Okay. Now to catch error, we are going to be doing it a little later, catching error. Now we also have to export it. Export defaults get countries, because we want to use this. We want to use this function in routing. So in our routes, we need to specify the route to the countries. So in our app route, we are going to specify router dot get, and the path is going to be slash countries, and it's going to be controller dot get. Why do we not have this? File civil. Okay, so I need to actually I need to use this one more time. So this, let's say this is country controller. Country controller. So there is going to be country controller dot get. So it's going to be, let's change this one to slash country controller. So it's going to be country controller dot get countries like this. Okay. So I've specified the routing. Later on we are going to actually remove this routing file because we can actually integrate routing into the controller just like we did in Spring Boot. So let's see if this works. Let's fire up this application and let's try to access /countries URL and see what we have. So I'm going to save everything and I'm going to fire up this application npm run dev, and it started successfully at port 8800. So I'm going to port 8800. First, I'm checking that this still works. So it works, home works. So let's go to /countries and cannot get countries. I think I made a mistake in the should be countries. So it did not return anything. So it returned empty. So let's go check where the problem is coming from. If I go to service, db.query, so let's see. Okay, so let's try to catch error and see what the error message is. So I'm going to come here and say, so I'm going to come here, just put this here and say .catch. Okay, so we need to do res assign. So we have to catch the error, and here I'm going to send error.message. Let's see what the problem is here. So I'm going to save file, save all, and let's go back to run. Nothing happens. Oh, so actually I see where the problem is coming from. Okay, I have to say return await, because here you see in the service here, you see I say await, so it's going to be return await. Okay, so this is where the problem is coming from. I just figured it out. And also we've added error handling. So if I save file, save all, and go back to refresh this page, now we have a response coming. So sorry for this confusion, but this is exactly how it works. Okay, so we've been able to get a list of countries, and I'm going to stop here because I don't want to spend so much time. In the next part, we are now going to integrate the routing and the controller. So basically, we are going to be removing completely this file. We only should have the controller and the service. We don't need external routing. So we're going to be specifying the routing right in the controller as well. We're going to be specifying the routing somewhere here using the router. I'd like to thank you for viewing. Please remember to subscribe to my channel and also leave me a comment if this has been informative for you. So we see you in the next part.